I tried to watch this yesterday, but DVD has too many scratches. I couldn't watch it. I've seen it before a long time ago. I was ready to see it again. So I watched this instead. Oh boy. Yeah. You know, I worked for this embassy for a short time, a couple of decades ago. And I can tell you that in this episode of Northern Exposure that I'm going to show you, and I'll tell you at the end when it was dated. It was dated, I believe, in the early 90s. And this is a lesson in democracy, and I can tell you in this episode, nobody dies compared to the story of the Burmese, or Burman, or Burma. It was called Myanmar when I worked for this embassy. So this is a lesson in democracy.
To which I can only add, Alia e actica est. The die is cast, the battle is joined. Hold on to your hats, Sicily. We're about to bear witness to that sacred rite when each and every one of us become acolytes before the altar of the ballot box, our secular shrine. Fellow Cicelyians, my heart is pounding, dancing to the drum of a free people, a city on a hill, e pluribus unum. I feel at one with Whitman, shepherd of the great unwashed. O democracy, near at hand to you, a throat is now inflating itself and joyfully singing.
So, secular was mentioned, okay? And in the world of politics, there should be, it's anthropocentric. There shouldn't be any supernatural, and there should definitely be as much avoidance of the magical monetary paradigm as possible.
Watch my finger. Okay, a facial tic is a brief involuntary contraction of a muscle group. You ever have one before?
Never.
See, it's usually the result of nervous tension. Have you been experiencing any unusual stress lately?
A lot.
Yeah? The stress is related to...
Oh, the election.
The election?
Yep.
His selection?
Yeah. You see, I've never had a chance to vote before, Dr. Fleischman. It's a pretty big responsibility.
Normally, I'd agree with you, Ed, but in this case, I mean, it's nothing more than a grudge match over a stop sign.
2 stop signs.
Oh,
Yeah, you
no.
see, Edna wants a stop sign to slow down those lumber trucks as they come around the curve near her house. See, they hit the brakes, then they work through all the gears. It's noisy and keeps her awake.
Wait a minute. There's no intersection? She wants a stop sign where there's no intersection?
Yeah, but she needs 2. You see, last night I was thinking, a prepared stop and then a stop. I couldn't get back to sleep.
Oh, well, I can see where that might...
So you see the beginning of a debate related to a stop sign and how Ed was trying to participate in the problem-solving process as a first-time voter. And that's good. And then, you know, I won't get into this too much, but about one person wanting a stop sign and really having the right, you know, especially when there's like a 24-hour industry of logging trucks, to, you know, to not hear that noise all the time. And of course, there's a best way to do it. You don't kind of solve it by just putting a stop sign and it's not in the best place to solve the issue. It has to be, you know, citizen-minded, right? And there's nobody else around there. So really, I mean, you would think that citizen playing a part in deciding where that stop sign would go would be important, I believe, eh?
For politics.
So what am I going to do now, Dr. Fleischman?
About what?
My tick?
Well, vote. It should clear up Tuesday.
Huh. May I ask you something, Maggie?
Far away, Ed.
Okay. In an election, how do you know who to vote for?
Well, it's kind of complicated. First, read the literature. Then listen to the speeches. But you know, eventually you just have to go with your gut.
My gut.
Yeah. Look each candidate in the eye, you know? And try to figure out which one is least likely to become an unprincipled sleaze bucket.
That's totally ridiculous, Otana. You vote for a strong leader, someone who represents your views.
Excuse me?
I don't have any views.
Well, in that case, you fall back on your candidate's party affiliations.
Okay. What are they?
Well, are you a Democrat or a Republican, Ed?
I don't know.
What are you, Dr. Fleishman?
Well, I like to think of myself as a guilt-free thinker, but in fact, I mostly vote Republican.
Figures.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, nothing. Just another in a long line of disappointments, I suppose. But I guess it goes along with the Argyle socks and the golf clubs.
Oh, great. Nothing like getting beneath the surface, O'Connell.
Sound a little defensive, Fleischman. What's the problem? I touched a nerve?
I'm not defensive. I happen to be very proud of my political position. I think it takes a lot of guts to voice the unfashionable, to go against the tide of one's peers. Do you realize how many Republicans live on the Upper West Side? Yeah, you're looking at it.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of guts to cut programs for the poor and give tax breaks to the rich.
Oh, spare me the bleeding heart. At least I don't vote out of some misplaced sense of guilt over growing up with money.
Fleischman, you don't even know what you're talking about. My parents are Democrats. We are very pro-labor.
Right, I'm sure you spent your weekends at the Grosse Pointe Country Club discussing minimum wage.
Well, you know, it's obvious you're running from your working class background and trying to pass yourself off as something you're not.
I'm not running from anything, but I got news for you and your liberal suburban friends. There's nothing special or particularly ennobling about not having money.
Me, mine, mine.
Self-interest isn't a crime, O'Connell. I worked my butt off to be a doctor. I ain't spent 4 years in medical school, 1 year in internship, and 2 years in residency just to be plugged into some system of socialized medicine that tells me what I can and cannot charge. Yeah, when my sentence is up, I plan to go home and charge whatever the market will bear. Yeah, I want my piece of the pie. I want my money.
Yeah, a self-serving materialistic pig.
Self-serving Republican pig. Thank you very much.
So I don't know if you noticed, guys, but that's kind of what Republicans are. And in Canada, it's kind of like conservatives. It's me, myself, and I, right? It's self-serving. And a lot of the people that vote for Republicans, they've become dumb enough to not realize that's the opposite of a public servant. And the reason that they're kind of still attracted to that is they see the possibility of themselves getting away with these kind of behaviors and also acquiring the rewards, which is increasingly unlikely because, you know, the poor or middle class at this point are pretty much never going to reach, you know, the tiny percentage that has all the resources. So it's not even possible. But this started with advice about reading literature, you know, looking somebody in the eye. Speaking of that, you know, I can tell even by missing my chance to meet Pierre Poilievre in person, I can tell when I look in the eye in the videos and read the congruence or incongruence in his face, I can tell I don't trust that person. But, you know, Trudeau, I would find him childish, but I can also tell by listening to a lot of conversations and studying patterns over time that he has more of a tendency to be a public servant. And he's got a, you know, he's playing a long game. So that means he's not thinking in the short term. So that means it's a little bit more likely for him to be a public servant. What's it called? He's called Jagmeet Singh. He's just a regular guy, I would say. And the reason I wouldn't vote for him is because, you know, we need a lot more than a regular guy during the Anthropocene. Okay, and Canada, again, is going to be hit really hard with El Nino next summer, and I see very little at the provincial or federal level efforts to try to catch up to modernity of what, you know, all cultures of the world have been mostly in denial about our species being behaving majoritively as anti-life. And people that are me, myself, and I, of course, they are unable increasingly more to reference the outside world, and that means their neighbors, that means their community, their province, state, country, you know, even their political party. Here, Joel and Maggie were arguing first about, well, they got into the tribe versus tribe mentality because they were in conversations about parties, and parties is tribe versus tribe mentality. And I've said in a previous lesson in democracy, I think the best way to know if a politician is really ready for the Anthropocene, let's say, is they would be an independent. And in fact, all should be independents. Otherwise, really, if they're associated with a party, they might convince themselves that that's what they need to be to make a difference. But really, parties are actually, I would say, the opposite of proof that they are public servants if they belong to a party. But here, Maggie and Joel, they certainly got into some personal things that weren't even related to the topic of the stop sign, or even less in the conversations about public service. right? Serving the greater community that this vote is supposed to be related to.
You yourself are concerned. Have you made up your mind as to how you are going to vote?
Yes,
And?
it's personal.
My friends, today when I look out over Sicily, I see not a town, but a nation's history written in miniature, inscribed in the cracked pavement, reverberating from every passing flatbed. Today every runny nose I see says America to me. We were outcasts, scum, the wretched debris of a hostile aging world. But we came here, we paved roads, we built industries, powerful institutions. Of course, along the way we exterminated untold indigenous cultures and enslaved generations of Africans. We basically stained our Star-Spangled Banner with a host of sins that can never be washed clean.
Very much similar in
But
Canada.
today, we're here to celebrate the glorious aspects of our past. A tribute to a nation of free people, the country that Whitman exalted. The genius of the United States is not best or most in its executives or legislators, nor in its ambassadors or authors, or colleges or churches, or parlors, nor even in its newspapers or inventors, but always most in the common people. I've never been so proud to be a Sicilian. I must go out now and fill my lungs with the deep, clean air of democracy.